Today I wanted to do kind of a Q1 snapshot. Now, obviously, we're talking about Q1. We're, 2 weeks into January, and this is all December or last year compiled information, just depending on what it is I'm presenting here. So keep that in mind. The data that we're looking at is typically a little bit behind because the numbers have to, have time to come out publicly. Now, there is ways to research that in real time, and I will show that you that as well as we kind of go along here with a tool that we all have access to. Um, and so let's get going. So essentially, what we're kind of seeing here is, and I'm sure you're feeling it, there's been a lot of paused buyers. Um, the rates are starting to dip. I saw news come out on Friday that I think we're at like maybe a 3-year low on Friday, actually. And we just saw FHA and VA par pricing under 6%, which is great news to be talking to the borrowers about and the buyers out there, especially the paused buyers, which we're going to go over. We still have a fair amount of inventory. I'm sure you've seen that news quite a bit. So, what does that equal? It equals a pretty good buyer opportunity for the next, couple months potentially. While I was up in Denver over winter break, I go up there to visit my daughter, and we have she likes to go thrifting, and I found this little thrifting jewel. It's uh it's Warren Buffett, and it says buy the effing dip, and it was a dollar, so I had to get it. So I think we're kind of in that point right now for a lot of buyers where they can get in, they don't have a lot of uh competition, and they can get concessions and things like that. So let's look at some of these major metros Q1 snapshot. So basically, affordability is improving year over year, in a lot of the key California metros. Um, their most recent statewide affordability release, which was Q3 2025, and I saw some news come out uh, even sooner than that, or uh, from I think it was Redfin potentially, who, obviously they're a competitor, but they've got a ton of data. They have a major search portal, so they have a ton of data on this stuff. So it shows that more households can afford the median priced home versus a year earlier in the biggest metros region, mainly because of slightly lower borrowing cost, softer competition, and improved supply. All of those things we've pretty much been feeling. So now, this was Q3 2025. I expect Q4 info to be coming out any time now, and then I'm sure it's going to show even more. But basically, we're looking at a very slight increase in affordability, even just about 4 months ago, and it's only gotten better with easing rates and inventory kind of remaining at higher levels. So we have, Los Angeles Metro and County, both are up about 1%. Basically, everything's up about 1%. Except for Sacramento got actually a little bit, got 2% better on affordability. The takeaway is that housing is still expensive, but housing affordability is improving versus last year in our biggest metros. So we have real data-baked reasons to reopen conversations with buyers who paused in 2024 and 2025. I'm sure you were working with someone, maybe you viewed a few homes, and they're just like, you know what, maybe they even got into contract. They had a lot of cancellations last year. And, once they started going through the numbers with their lender, just wasn't looking that good for them. So, um, what is one way that you can find some of this info? Well, I introduced you to Homier last year. We've been working a lot on this product. As I said, I am an advisor on this company. And so they take a lot of my input on what agents are looking for, what they need to help them run a more efficient business and to make them, basically smarter about local areas and things like that. And I can show you an awesome new little feature that's in that after the next segment here. So The right now market pulse in those same metros. So Redfin's latest county snapshots, which is November 2025, so a little more recent, shows price growth is mixed and time on market is generally longer. I'm sure we're all feeling that, which supports the message to our audiences of more negotiating leverage than buyers felt in prior spring markets. So the median sales price, Los Angeles County, basically flat year over year. So not really much appreciation, if any. Orange County, actually, the median is down just slightly with longer market times, 50 days versus 42. This is year over year again. San Diego County, median 895 up slightly with longer market times, 42 versus 33. Sacramento County, median about 529, down 1.1 with longer market times, 34 days versus 24. That kind of coincides with a slightly better affordability index as well that we saw versus the other counties and regions. Santa Clara County, median 1.637 million, up year over year 4%, and still fast on the days on market, 18 days on market. Now, back in the heyday, it was even faster, obviously, but 18 days is still not bad. Alameda, median 995, down actually 10%, almost 11%. Still relatively quick, though, on the days on market at 23 on average. So the takeaway, in major metros, some places are flat, some up slightly, some down slightly. Across most of the state, homes are taking longer and buyers have more room to negotiate. That's exactly when re-engaging paused buyers works best. So let's go ahead and skip over real quick to home here, and hopefully you can still see my um, my screen here. So you can get a free account over here. All the Rise Realties agents get a free account with Home here. This isn't just for searching home. This is also for searching data. So if you wanted to find, um, what is the median price for a certain zip code, you could actually go in here and find out as well. You can find the differences of um, what it was year over year. You can find out how many homes are selling with FHA financing if you wanted to search that. Many homes. I just do my usual zip here. So basically, you're looking at ChatGPT in a way, but for real estate. And the reason why this is accurate and better than ChatGPT is because it's connected with MLS. So we are taking all of the MLS data, and that's where this tool is getting its information. So um, actually, there might not be any 92008. Now, I think I probably shouldn't have chosen that particular zip code because I don't know that anything sells FHA. Yeah, I couldn't find any. Sorry, let me pick a better zip, 92027. We'll do Escondido. How about that? So, um, I looked up some other stats as well, as far as um, per zip code, if homes are selling higher or lower than they were last year. So you can look up median price. You can do, date ranges and things like that as well. Um, so it's pretty cool because if you're going to go into a listing appointment or if you're being with a buyer and they're like, we just don't know if now's the right time, you can show them, hey, days on market are increasing or decreasing. If we start to see decreasing days on market, it generally means that the market's starting to pick up. So you can see this went ahead and spit out. It said recently sold 92027. Um, Oh, where is the number? Oh, zero. I didn't say sold. Sorry. Anyways, I'm going to go back over. Play around with it. The data, I pulled up a bunch of these data numbers through here. as we kind of get going, and it was pretty fun to play with because I was able to get a lot of really accurate right now type of stuff, or just for January, which was also super helpful. So let's look at who's buying right now. So I broke this down by generations, which the reason why is because if you like working with a certain generation, or if you want to market to the masses, we need to know who the masses are for whether you're going for buyers or sellers. So just like Andrew was saying, he's wanting to work with a very specific buyer in a very specific area. So his marketing message is going to be very tailored to that type of buyer, which is probably going to net him a lot better volume and higher intent leads than just saying, hey, if anybody wants to buy a home, I'm available. That type of marketing doesn't really resonate with anybody. And so when you market to everybody, you tend to get nobody. So you really want to cater your message and your plan, and hopefully you have a marketing plan of who and uh, where they who you want to be marketing to. So who's buying? Gen Z, very small. Millennials, they break it down between older and younger millennials, a total of 29%. Gen X, we're looking at 24%. Baby boomers still strong in the market, 42%. Older and younger baby boomers are out there buying more than anybody. And then the silent generation is 4%. So if you're going to be putting out marketing, you're going to want to probably look at these three generations and choose, okay, who do I resonate with best? Um, who does my marketing appeal to? Who do I like working with? And take that information and start developing your marketing plan. So buyer motivations by generations, if we look, I'm just going to kind of skip over Gen Z because they're basically nothing right now, but younger millennials, so these are ranked actually. So their number one motivation for buying a house is the desire to own a home of their own. Number two, desire for a larger home. Number three, change in family situation. Four, job-related relocation. So these are some basically this is your almost a guide to really what you should be talking about with your marketing content if you're trying to target younger millennials. So basically, where they're at right now is I'm forming my life. Ownership identity plus starting a family and career mobility. Payment sensitive info, starter home info, commute tools, and step-by-step buyer readiness. That's all stuff that really appeals to younger millennials right now. So this is what you want to be looking at with your marketing pieces. Older millennials, same thing, desire to own a home of their own, a little less than the younger millennials. They were at 51%. This is 31%. Number two, desire for a larger home. Three, job-related relocation, and desire for a home in a better area. So maybe they are already owning a home and they couldn't afford one in the area they wanted, and so they want to move to a better area. Um, what kind of tone should you have with them and messaging? So upgrades and optimize. So space needs plus school area quality and career moves. You want to prioritize school and commute, neighborhood comparisons, trade up scenarios. Gen X, motivations for buying, desire to own their home of their own is 24. Desire for a larger home, just 12%. Better area, 9. Job relocation, 9. So that's the info we have on them. Efficiency and outcomes. So fewer online browsing sessions. They don't spend hours and hours and hours online looking at homes to buy. They're not window shopping quite as much as the millennials are. Uh, but they are higher intent, their searches and their inquiries. So you want to utilize fast filtering tools and risk fit indicators. Younger boomers, so this is the largest segment. They want to be closer to family and friends. Retirement's on their mind. They do want to own a home. Some of them have not. And maybe they want to get into a smaller home. That was at 10%. So the lifestyle transition, this is your marketing message for this demographic, and this is who you want to work with. Proximity plus retirement planning and downsizing begins. You want to lead with location to family and trusted human help. So they do still want that human connection with their realtor. Older boomers, again, closer to family and friends at 29%. So that's up from the younger boomers. They want a smaller home. They're in retirement or just about to. Um, and then change in family situations. Marketing message for them, downsize and being near people. Emphasize low maintenance homes, senior friendly features, healthcare proximity, and concierge style agent support. Silent generation, this was a very small segment here. Basically, they want to be closer to family and friends. And something important with them is they typically have assisted decision making, meaning um, a trustee or somebody like that is generally involved, some sort of family member, maybe their child, possibly even their grandchild, is involved in that purchase. So um, they're making family-driven moves and simplification and phone-first workflows. So if you're trying to get them to use QR codes and things like that, it's probably not going to work that well. They like to get on the phone. So let's touch on who's selling real quick. Gen Z, pretty much non-existent. They're just now entering the market. Millennials, older and younger, we're looking at about 21%. Gen X, 24%. Baby boomers, biggest segment again, 44%. Silent generations at 10. So again, the boomers are still the prominent players as buyers and sellers in today's market. Boomers and Gen X together represent 68% of all sellers, largely driven by equity, downsizing, relocation, and estate planning. So motivations by generation, Gen Z, I'm not even going to touch on it. It's basically non-existent. Younger millennials, their house is too small, job relocation, they want to move closer to family and friends, change in family situation. So basically, life is changing fast. Sellers leads with buy coordination. Sell by coordination. So your marketing message to them would be, coordinating that challenging part of selling the home and buying another one without having to, live in an apartment or live in an Airbnb for 2 weeks or something like that. So timelines, a certainty of next steps. So they want this kind of information. Rent back bridge options, flexible closes, things like that. Older millennials, they're moving because their home is too small, about 30% of them. Job relocations, neighborhood less desirable, change in family situation, pretty similar to why they're buying as well. So for them, upgrade plus neighborhood content. You want to prioritize the return on investment that they're making, pricing strategy, next home planning, schools, commute, lifestyle with partner sharing, meaning they like their partner to be involved in this just as much as they are involved. Gen X, same thing, home too small. So we got a lot of move up buyers here in Gen X and millennials. Neighborhood, less desirable, change in family situation. Just a small percentage said home is too large, actually. So some of them are already, becoming empty nesters. Actually, I'm Gen X and I am an empty nester. So it's out there. It's starting to happen. Control plus risk management, emphasize strategy options, market risk signals, and frictionless execution. Let's see, younger boomers, move closer to friends and family, moving due to retirement, neighborhood less desirable, home is too large. So now we're getting, this is the breaking point of where homes start becoming too large and it's downsizing versus upsizing. So this is important messaging in your content depending on who you're targeting. So you want to really know what their motives are for moving so that your marketing content resonates with them. So lifestyle transition, lead with net proceeds, relocation, planning, trusted human help, and downsizing info. Older boomers, same thing. Uh, they want to move closer to friends and family, home too large. Upkeep is too difficult, 9%, as well as with retirement. Simplify plus be near people is what they're looking. So that's your message to them. Concierge type service with a strong we handle it angle and flow. Silent generation. This was a small portion, remember, of sellers. They basically just want to move closer to friends and family, and the home is too large, upkeep too difficult. Pretty similar to the boomers, the older boomers. And remember, assisted managed sale, usually adult children trustees are involved and prioritize clear step-by-step communications. So that's important when you're talking with this generation is that you're going to be there every step of the way, communication's clear. Yes, let's get your trustee involved. Let me talk to them, so on and so forth. So any questions on those observations? Let's throw them into the chat and we can discuss. Let's see, nothing there. Okay. So re-engaging paused buyers in your database. Thought it was a good time, market-wise, and a good time of the year to go over re-engaging paused buyers in your database because pretty much all of us have them. We've got old leads that maybe never really responded, or maybe they did and they were like, "Oh, I'm just looking right now." Consider all of these paused buyers and potential income for this year as far as working with them as clients. So based on data, your angle on re-engaging buyers in Q1 is simple. The data is showing affordability has improved year over year, but the days on market are still longer, giving buyers more negotiating power and a window of opportunity for home ownership. It's a great message to be sending out. Q1 2026 buyer engagement re-engagement plan. So just don't check in. You want to lead with value every time. And that's why I like some of these data tools that are available to us is you can search up something real quick and make a message out of it. People love to make informed decisions. So if you can be the authority in that, they're going to trust you and you're going to build trust the more and more you talk about these types of things. So build your follow-up system that mixes channels, call, text, email, video, and offer real value every time instead of generic check-ins. Frequent outreach should feel service value driven and not pressure or salesy. How did it look, or how does it look in practice? Every outreach attempt should include a buyer win, a payment scenario update. How do you find that? Well, for one thing, you talk to lenders, but two, I like the Tycor Agent app, the Tycor Agent One. You can get that from Michelle, our rep over there at Tycor. I use this often for calculating payments, and they have got a ton of payment calculators in there for all different kinds of scenarios. So I really like having that one on my phone, and you can share it as well as far as that payment scenario from the calculator. Mini inventory snapshot. You could just do this straight from MLS. I have a lot of realtors that I follow on social media, and I have a couple of them that literally just have a Sage search in there, and every Monday they take a screenshot and they're like, here's the inventory level for San Diego right now. And you can do it for, different areas, just a city, or whatever you want to do. And then talk about what is the change. Last week we had this and now we have this, and what does that indicate? Concession trend. Um, I actually found this information in Homier. I did a seller concession trend for Carlsbad 92008, and it was pretty crazy. It said in 2024, the average concessions were about 14,000. meaning sellers were given, some sort of credit, repairs, closing costs, whatever. It always goes to closing costs, but whatever the category is that was input in MLS, about 14,000 on average. In 2025, it was actually at 27,000, so it increased considerably last year, just in that one zip code. And that was information I was able to research in Homier and get a data point on, which was actually pretty cool. A watch list of homes, use your MLS, use your CRM, use, IDX, Homier if you want an account there, same thing. There's email drips in there. It's all behavioral based. And you can collaborate with your client as well. So, um, short strategy adjustment, assess what you know about their scenario and provide a Q1 home buying strategy. So these are just, some examples of some buyer wins that you can lead with rather than, hey, just checking in and I haven't talked to you in a couple weeks, or a couple months. Requalify your database. So don't assume they're dead, assume they're delayed. And this is a major pain point in the industry is, lead gen isn't hard. We can all generate leads, today. But the problem is, the lack of follow-up, is yes, we call them right away when we get them. Maybe we try again later that day. Maybe, 3 days from now, we try them one more time and then that's it. But really, they need to be, nurtured for many months, even many years before they come alive. And that's why having a CRM is so great, is because it's a pipeline builder. So because people that you talked to last year might be coming alive now that you didn't even know were coming alive and ready to buy a house, and all of a sudden now you've got two clients this month instead of just the one you were working with. So requalifying the database, this is a good time of year to do this. So again, it's the heart of your business. We all need to have a database of clients and leads. Add into your daily prospecting flow some time to requalify your lead prospects. Reconnect with people you haven't spoke to and reprioritize them. How it looks in practice: a simple permission-based message plus 2 to 3 questions to sort them into A, buying in 0 to 90 days, B, buying in 3 to 12 months, C is someday, watching, not sure. So this way here, you know who you should be talking with regularly versus who you should be, touching base with less frequently, but still touching base. Use a systematic approach to your outreach plan so re-engagement isn't random or chaotic. Examples: 8x8, 8 touches in 8 weeks for new or older contacts, 33 touches a year, mailings, cards, email drop-offs, and phone calls to stay top of mind. 33 sounds crazy, but this is what top producers do. And that's how many times their CRMs are touching um, their database, and is the lead you have in your database also in their database? Potentially. And if they're doing it a lot more than you are, they're probably going to earn that business over you reaching out, sporadically at best. So just don't go through the motions of sending an email or text to complete the outreach task and make yourself feel comfortable. Nothing works better than personal calls. Outreach calls are a major part of what makes your outreach system work. How's it look in practice for paused buyers in your database? Run a short reactivation sprint for the next 2 weeks and then roll them into your monthly flow into CRM. So what would that look like? And by the way, this does work as far as, you know, I want to emphasize the calling part, and that doesn't substitute just the CRM spitting out the generic stuff. Um, we have an agent here who sells a lot of homes, a lot of high-end stuff, doesn't have a CRM actually, but it works off of a CSV file and basically starts at the top and just makes calls as far as he can get. And then the next day he picks up there and keeps going, and he just rotates this list over and over and over and over again, and sells a ton of homes that way. And it's all because he picks up the phone and calls versus a passive email coming from CRM or kind of a generic text coming from CRM. So really you want to mix all of that. But let's look at the 14-day reactivation sprint. This is a simple cadence that you can start this week. Get your database together, obviously, and then start with high consistency, then bi-weekly and weekly cadence, depending on timeline and conversation outcomes. So day one, text. So that's your value hook. I provided some examples of this, and I'm not going to go through all the examples, but if you want a copy of this, just let us know. If you shoot me an email or text, say you want it. I have a bunch that I generated. Um, so day one is a text, day two is a call, leave voicemail, and a text follow up. Day four, email. That could be a mini market plus two options for a call to action, call or text me type thing. Uh, Day seven, we're back to text message, a specific home, pricing opportunity, maybe something you found in the MLS, looks like a good deal, might have been something they were looking for previously, and there's something new on the market that might match that. Sending that particular thing to them and say, hey, I came across this. What do you think? Uh, Day 10, we're back to a call, requalify, set next step. Day 14, email or text, recap plus the invite to buyer game plan refresh. So you can generate this little plan right here. There's tons of this kind of stuff out there in Canva, Realtor Property Resource. There's a lot of sources out there that are free where you can come up with a little buyer game plan refresh. Head over to ChatGPT, tell them what you want, and they'll draft that up. So you have something that you can send out to them for that when they ask for it. And that's a great opt-in. It's a great example of opt-in. So now they're opting into something, and basically you have permission to continue talking to them. After that, monthly market touch plus one personal touch, text or call until they buy or opt out. Really, that's what it is. Until they buy something or they opt out or tell you to stop calling or whatever it is, you just want to keep going because eventually one of those two things is going to happen. They're going to buy or they're going to opt out. Engaging paused buyers who are not in your database. So we may be talking to somebody that we know that started looking with a realtor last year. You didn't know about it, and they are a paused buyer. You probably have a ton of them in your Facebook or your Instagram audience that you don't know that they did start and then they stopped. So they are a paused buyer who is not in your database necessarily. They're in your audience, but not in your database. So Q1 plan for social media focused engagement, the paused buyers. There's other ways as well. I'm using social media as an example because it's free as far as cost, but it does involve time. So what do you have? Do you have money or do you have time? And if you don't have a lot of money to throw at marketing and you do have a lot of time, then this is a good option for you to practice. So what you're looking for is consistency plus authenticity plus clear call to actions. Every post needs a specific call to action. Avoid salesy energy and lead with value and service. And I'm not saying every single post you make on social media needs to be this, but when you are doing a real estate type focused one, that's the flow. I think we had someone come in on chat. Yeah, we can email these out. So local market context backed by data stats will show your value as the local agent who will make it happen for them this time around. So here's where we're at. These are a bunch of social media posts that I generated after some research. You can use these on Instagram and Facebook. It has kind of the hook up top, and then the call to action, the script, the whole shebang for you. So choose what stopped you. These are all just some engaging posts that you can try out, modify them how you need or want. Um, and then suggest tone of the post. Remember, we're not going in for the kill with these posts, and that's the problem with uh, lead conversion is if you're going in for the sale on the first call, that's can be a major turnoff for a majority of people. So uh, these are meant to be conversation starters to engage your audience and get them to raise their hand, like, hey, I started last year, or I want to start this year, and maybe I can get a little info from you. So start with empathy. You weren't wrong to pause. That state some facts. Then one clear call to action. You always want to have that call to action. Like, hey, here's these things going on. Here's what the data is saying. And if you want more information on this particular thing, message whatever, or get into my direct messages or something like that. Because a lot of times they will want to take it kind of out of the comments section. So sometimes not. So keep your call to actions keyword based. So direct message reset or 90 days or something like that. So you'll see in some of these, actually all of them, that there is, direct message me 90 days plus your city and I'll send the list. That's the call to action right there that you want to have in your post. Um, I generated some 14-day re-engagement hooks from above or earlier in this. So payment plus affordability hooks, inventory and leverage hooks, micro report hooks, low pressure requalification hooks. And then we have a bunch of high level scripts in here for email, text, and phone if you're interested in any of that. So I'm going to leave them in this format, in this PDF. It'll actually be a Google Share if you want a copy of it. Um, do you say these word for word? No, that's not really what scripts and things are meant for. It's meant to, you know, use that and help it guide you through your first few calls until you start getting comfortable with doing it, and you just kind of can talk off the cuff. So maybe you want to take those, copy them, and kind of make them your own a little bit, your own tone, but just make sure you have, value in it, and there's some sort of call to action at the end of it as well, because that's where, it turns into, from a conversation into a potential prospect. So that's really all I have for today. Um, I'll get these sent out. And then if you have any other questions, you want to set up one-on-ones and talk about this kind of stuff, I'm always available. Um, and that's about it. If you need a Homier account, you can just go to homier.com. Up in the top says request account. Go ahead and do that. They're going to ask me if they're one of a Rise Realty agent, I'll say yes, and they'll give you free access. It's really fun to play around, especially when you're trying to find really deep data in specific zip codes or specific cities. That just is really kind of hard to find through MLS or to find, this month data that you might be looking for because you're heading out to a listing appointment or a buyer asked you some kind of off the wall question. And it needs to be something that is a data backed answer coming from, MLS data, which is actually pretty deep. There's a lot of data in there that they have on everything. So, other than that, have a great week and we'll talk to you soon.